Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Pancha Tattva, Jayo Pancha Tattva, Jayo Pancha Tattva, Jayo Pancha Tattva. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai 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 Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai 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 Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Nitai Gaur Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे।
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्री डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्री इस डिवाइन ग्रेस शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णविंद की जय। नमाचार्य शीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादिशी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। व्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। मद्र धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। कलयुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोकुलनंद भगवान की जय। श्री पंचतत्व भगवान की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Krishna. So, thank you very much, everyone, for coming to our morning program. It's my great fortune to be with all of you today again on this morning program. It's my morning program after a long time. Actually, it's for my own benefit. I'm trying to be part of this assembly and get some nice nectar out of this wonderful assembly. Today we will be discussing pastimes from Vrindavan. And our title is Summer in Vrindavan. Generally in the Katha we talk about Krishna killing demon and having nice pastimes with the devotees. But this is the description of a season. So why Prabhupada has given this wonderful description, which is coming from actually Bhagavatam. The Krishna book, it is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And why these wonderful descriptions are there. So we'll go into the details of the description and the reason why we are there and what do we learn from it. So we'll try our best to go into it. And I request all of your blessings and permission that I can, what Krishna would like to hear, may it come from my mouth, for your service. So please engage me in your service. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, in our regular Bhagavatam class, we read a shloka, a purport, and then we discuss on the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Because we are reading from Krishna book today, there is no shloka, straight away purport. Shloka is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we read it some of the paragraph, and then we'll go in detail. So we'll be reading from chapter 18 of Krishna book. This chapter is titled The Killing the Demon Pralambasur. The title is very interesting, very misleading title in fact. The whole chapter is mostly description of season summer. At the end, just on a side, okay, Krishna killed on that day, Pralambasur. So we'll be focusing more on the description of Vrindavan today. I'll read first paragraph and then some of us can take turns to read the rest of it. So chapter 18, Killing the Demon Pralambasur. After extinguishing the devastating fire, Krishna, surrounded by his relatives, friends, cows and bulls, and glorified by his friends, singing again entered Vrindavan, which is always full of cows. While Krishna and Balaram were enjoying life in Vrindavan in the midst of the cowherd boys and girls, the season gradually changed to summer. The summer season in India is not very much welcomed because of the excessive heat. But in Vrindavan, everyone was pleased because summer there appeared just like spring. This was possible only because Lord Krishna and Balram, who are the controllers even of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, were residing there. In Vrindavan, there are many falls which are always pouring water, and the sound is so sweet that it covers the sound of the crickets. And because water flows all over, the forest always looks very green and beautiful. And we'd like to read the next two paragraphs.
The inhabitants of Vrindavan were never disturbed by the scorching heat of the sun or the high summer temperatures. The lakes of Vrindavan are surrounded by green grasses, and various kinds of lotus flowers bloom there, such as the Kaulara, Kanja, and Utpala. And the air blowing in Vrindavan carries the aromatic odor of those lotus flowers. When the particles of water from the waves of the Yamuna, the lakes, and the waterfalls touched the bodies of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they automatically felt a cooling effect. Therefore, they were practically undisturbed by the summer season.
Yeah, you can run it the second.
Vrindavan is such a nice place. Flowers are always blooming, and there are even various kinds of decorated deer. Birds are chirping, peacocks are crowing and dancing, and bees are humming. The cuckoos there sing nicely in 5 kinds of tunes.
Another devotee, we can just read this paragraph.
Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, blowing his flute, accompanied by his elder brother Balaram and the other cowherd boys and the cows, entered the beautiful forest of Vrindavan to enjoy the atmosphere. They walked into garlanded by those flowers and decorated with saffron chalk. Sometimes they were dancing and singing, and sometimes wrestling with one another. While Krishna danced, some of the cowherd boys sang and others played on flutes. Some bugled on buffalo horns or clapped their hands, praising Krishna. Dear brother, you are dancing very nicely. Actually, all these boys were demigods descended from higher planets to assist Krishna in his pastimes. The demigods garbed in the dress of the cowherd boys were encouraging Krishna in his dancing, just as one artist encourages another with praise. Up to that time, neither Balaram nor Krishna had undergone the hair cutting ceremony. Therefore, their hair was clustered like crow's feathers. They were always playing hide and seek with their boyfriends or jumping or fighting with them. Sometimes, while his friends were chanting and dancing, Krishna would praise them. My dear friends, you were dancing and singing very nicely. The boys played at catching boar with fruits such as bale and amalaka. They played blind man's buff, challenging and touching one another. Sometimes they imitated the forest deer and various kinds of birds. They joked with one another by imitating croaking frogs, and they enjoyed swinging underneath the trees. Sometimes they would play amongst themselves like a king and his subjects. In this way, Balaram and Krishna, along with all their friends, played all kinds of sports and enjoyed the soothing atmosphere of Vrindavan, full of rivers, lakes, rivulets, pine trees, and excellent gardens filled with fruits and flowers.
Hare Krishna. So now the demon part starts. So we are not going into the demon part today. So we're just discussing this particular season description. So thank you very much everyone for reading. So today we are reading this 18th chapter of Krishna book. So probably we all know, but just to build the atmosphere, Prabhupada, he wrote this Krishna book, which is nothing but the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that's where the Krishna's pastimes are described. In our spiritual journey, when we start reading Bhagavatam, we are told that we should gradually study Bhagavatam. First canto, second canto, third canto, fourth canto, and then go to the 10th canto. Never go to 10th canto direct without reading all these cantos, because then you will misunderstand what Shukdev Goswami is trying to explain to us. So we are told go gradually from first canto and then gradually go to the 10th canto. So while Prabhupada was translating with so much hard work but lots and lots of love, the translation of Bhagavatam, wherever he would go, whichever part of the world he is, he traveled 13 times around the globe in 11-12 years, constantly traveling. And while he was traveling, every day in the night, he would just hardly sleep for 2 hours or maximum 3 hours. Then he'll get up at about 12 o'clock, sometimes even before that, and throughout the whole night he would translate Srimad Bhagavatam. For whom? For us. He didn't need to, he was self-realized, Nitya Siddha devotee of Krishna. But for our benefit, he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. Lots of hard work and lots of love. So while he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam, he somehow felt that I may not live till the 10th canto. But 10th canto, that's where Krishna's pastimes are there. But we are not supposed to go to 10th canto directly. So Prabhupada, at one point, he stopped everything. He said, I must give, in a way, a 10th canto to our devotees. So he wrote this Krishna book. A separate, just description. Krishna book is nothing but the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But in a way, such a way that we can easily understand pastimes of Krishna, even if we have not studied the initial cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada, these lines that he is writing in Krishna book, he has written every single line, every single word so carefully. Every word that he has chosen, every paragraph that he has written, with so much care, so that when we read these lines of Krishna book, we can get the same benefit of reading the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to understand, the Krishna book is not an ordinary book. It's the one of, crest jewel of our, Prabhupada's offering to this world. Of course, Bhagavatam is there, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So many books are there. The Krishna book, because this book, we can just give it to somebody on the street who has never heard of Krishna. Still, he will understand who is Krishna. But if you give him the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, probably he'll be just lost. What is this? So this is the greatness of Prabhupada. So the Krishna book is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Very, very great mercy. Because Prabhupada, when he left this planet, he was still, he was there, the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was translating, I believe, the Brahma Vimohan Lila of Krishna, and that's when, that was his last, description, and then he left. So Prabhupada could see that he might not live, to complete the 10th canto. And he was right. So he gave us this Krishna book. So in Krishna book, when we read Krishna book, all these lines that Prabhupada is writing, whatever Shukdev Goswami spoke in Bhagavatam in 10th canto, it is exactly there. If you compare it, paragraph by paragraph, you see actually it is that only. But Prabhupada is written so carefully that each line, each words, each comma, how he has composed the sentence, everything is so nicely composed, so we can very nicely understand Krishna book. So when we read these various chapters of Krishna book, at some place there are different kinds of things are there in Krishna book. In Bhagavatam, one of the most sweet part of Bhagavatam, as far as I have understood, is the prayers by the devotees. Prayers by Gajendra, prayers by Queen Kunti, and prayers by Prahlad Maharaj. They are the most sweet part. Devotees, they love these prayers because that's where devotee's heart is revealed. What he thinks about Krishna. Another place, the Krishna's dealing with his devotees are discussed, or how the devotees, they conducted their family life, when the difficulty came, how they reacted to that, in a devotional way. At some place, the description of city is given, or description of season is given. Now, if you look at Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami had only 7 days to complete the whole Bhagavatam. He was narrating the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Rather, Parikshit Maharaj had only 7 days to listen. After 7 days, he was cursed to die. So, Shukdev Goswami, in a way, he had a deadline that he had to finish Bhagavatam before Parikshit Maharaj leaves his body. So, when Shukdev Goswami, he had to choose, what he has to speak. What are the important things, that he needs to speak to Parikshit Maharaj. So, while he was speaking, at some place, he is describing the season. Like here in this chapter, he is describing the summer season in Vrindavan. Now, you might ask, Parikshit Maharaj is about to die in 7 days. And why Shukdev Goswami is describing the season? It looks like, like somebody is dying on the office, in the hospital bed, and then you say, Vrindavan, nice season. Krishna plays so nicely. The next person says, what are you talking, Say something about Krishna. But my dear friend, this is where we need acharyas, we need the devotees' guidance. Actually, Vrindavan and Vrindavan's pastimes, Krishna, Balram, every tree, every deer, they are the whole part of Krishna's pastimes. Even the seasons in Vrindavan, they are part of Krishna's pastimes. Then we'll see in these pages, how these seasons, they are there to serve Krishna. They are, actually it is said, that variety is the mother of enjoyment. Everybody heard this? Variety is the mother of enjoyment. And Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. So Krishna, he is not just living in constant one season. There are various seasons, various parts of the day. When the gopis, they sing for Krishna, there are various ragas. In the morning there is a different rag, in afternoon there is a different rag. Krishna eats differently. It is said Radharani, whatever she cooks for Krishna, she never repeats ever again. Like today there is aloo paratha. I don't know what is prasad today. Then Radharani never makes aloo paratha ever again. That is it. The next time maybe gobi paratha. But one item ever. So Krishna, he is the enjoyer of variety. And here, in Vrindavan, there is the description of this season. The different seasons are there. But each season, it is there to give pleasure to Krishna. So now let's go some of the lines here in this chapter. Now, the purpose or maybe the our prayojan of this whatever we discussed today is that with this description we try to understand that this Vrindavan actually is none different than this is Bhauma Vrindavan and then this is Golok Vrindavan. What Krishna is displaying in Bhauma Vrindavan, it is just exactly what is there in Golok Vrindavan. So Krishna has brought this Golok Vrindavan and the Bhauma Vrindavan, Vrindavan on the earth. So when we say we want to go back to Godhead, and so when you go back to Godhead, what is in back to Godhead? What things are there? So with this description, we say actually this is what it is there. So in a way, it gives us the, like if you go to a particular place, we are given a little brochure. When you go there, on the gate, it will be like this. On the back side, it is like this. So little map, little description. So this gives us little, motivation, inspiration. But actually, I belong to this place. This is my house. Not Manchester, where the summer is like winter and winter is like summer. You're ever confused. So this is my house, and Krishna enjoys there. So I want to go and enjoy with him. So when we discuss, when we hear this description of summer season, whenever you have any difficulty, any confusions, any life is little dark, there is one Hindi song, when life is out of control. There's one Hindi song. Then when life is giving you trouble, just close your eyes and remember this, how Vrindavan is and how Krishna is enjoying with his devotees. And whatever I am going through now, it is going to pass. And someday, whenever Krishna desires, if I do my devotion service very nicely, Krishna is going to take me back home, back to Godhead, back to Vrindavan. And this is how I am going to enjoy with Krishna. So close your eyes. Whenever life gives you any difficulty and you don't know what to do, just close your eyes and remember this picture that we are going to discuss now. This picture is in the form of words. So just a few beginning lines. After extinguishing the devastating fire, Krishna, surrounded by relatives, friends, cows, and bulls, and glorified by his friends, singing again, entered Vrindavan, which is always full of cows. While Krishna and Balaram were enjoying life at Vrindavan in the midst of the cowherd boys and girls, the season gradually changed to summer. The summer season in India is not very much welcomed because of the excessive heat. But in Vrindavan, everyone was pleased because summer there appeared just like spring. So this is the chapter just after Krishna subdued Kaliya. So after Kaliya was subdued, the Brajavasis were so, exhausted with the anxiety of Krishna's fighting with Kaliya, because Kaliya most of the time he was winning the match. And Krishna, he likes drama. He says, okay, let Kaliya win, some part of the match. And then, when Krishna understood that my devotees are getting a lot of anxiety, then he started dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. And finally, he subdued Kaliya, and then he came back. And then they were, all the Brajavasis were so, so Krishna, so happy you are back. And then they did not go to home. Says, in the evening time, no time going home. We'll just stay with Krishna and pass the time on this bank of Yamuna. So they stayed that night on the bank of Yamuna. And in the middle of night, there was a forest fire. Actually, there are two descriptions of forest fire. Just after there is one full chapter of extinguishing forest fire, 2 forest fires. So Krishna, he extinguished the forest fire. So Krishna is very busy in Vrindavan. He is never like, today time pass, what shall I do? Let's play a game. Not like that. He has so much business. And his main business is to play with his devotees. So you see, after extinguishing the devastating fire, Krishna, surrounded by his relatives, friends, cows and bulls, and glorified by his friends, is singing, again entered Vrindavan, which was always full of cows. Now this line looks, what's so special about it? But my dear friends, this is just one line. It describes the full Vrindavan. In the last word, it says, Vrindavan, which is always full of cows. So when you talk of Vrindavan, Vrindavan means full of cows. And he says Krishna, his relatives, friends, cows and bulls, and glorified by his friends singing. So Krishna is always surrounded by his devotees. He is never alone. Prabhupada said many times in his class that you never see Krishna alone. Either some gopis are there, or some cows are there. Like in this picture here, this divine couple. Is Krishna alone? So many devotees are surrounded. Radha Rani is there. Then so many, pets, peacocks and cows, and so he's never alone. So this is one description, this one line what Prabhupada is writing. This one line we can discuss, the whole class. So Krishna is never alone. He's always with his devotees. And Krishna likes to be with his devotees. He never wants to say, today, too much, I want my own space. Sometimes we say, too much, wife, okay, you stay there, my son, you stay there, and I'm too much stressed out now. Lock the bedroom, and I want to. No, Krishna, he always wants to be with his devotees. He never wants to, have his own space. His own space means, in Krishna's own space means his devotees are there. The next line. While Krishna and Balaram were enjoying life in Vrindavan in the midst of the cowherd boys and girls, the season gradually changed to summer. The summer season in India is not very much welcomed because of the excessive heat. But in Vrindavan, everyone was pleased because summer there appeared just like spring. So, I think most of us are from, Indian background. And in India, summer means, Ore Bapre, why this summer has come. Very excessive heat. Nobody likes summer there. In England, when summer is there, people become crazy. Summer has come, summer has come. Send them to India. They never want summer back again. So here in this world, see, this is one quality of our material world. Nobody is satisfied. The Indian people are living in India, they want winter like England. Those who are living in England, they want summer like Spain. And those who are living in Spain, they want to go to Australia. The Australians, they want to come back to England. Nobody is ever satisfied any place. Whatever you give it to them. Relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, 2 years, too much, live in relationship. Now you are yours, I am yours. What happens to children? Children's give them freedom, so the parents are unhappy, children are unhappy. Government, fires government, then, the government tries his best or, very appears to be trying his best. Now after again the people are not happy. Anti-incumbency. We don't like this prime minister, we throw him off. Here in this material world, nobody is satisfied with whatever it is given to them. But in Vrindavan, everybody is satisfied. Here it is said, they welcomed summer because summer is just like spring. So in Vrindavan, everybody is happy. Whatever, it comes along, it is happy. And Krishna, he just understands, that what my devotees would like. And he arranges exactly what his devotee likes. Next line. So here he says, they were pleased because summer there appeared just like spring. Now this next line, okay, read it very carefully. This was possible only because Lord Krishna and Balram, who are the controllers even of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, were residing there. So say, okay, that's fine. Their summer was like spring because Krishna and Balram were there. Who is Krishna and Balram? They even control Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. So what do we learn from this one? This one line, it just like, okay, this is understood, they control it. But it's a great lesson there. That when we surrender our life to Krishna, when we become completely dependent on Krishna, then Krishna has power to change anything for us. You get it? Krishna and Balram has a power to change anything for us, provided we are in Vrindavan consciousness. In Vrindavan, they were all in Vrindavan. What is everybody's desire? Simply to please Krishna. They completely surrendered to Krishna, and when we have that consciousness, then Krishna and Balram can change anything. And that we see, so many places. Krishna has done so many times that for his devotees, he is like in the case of Bhishma Dev. Krishna broke his own promise. At the time when Arjuna took a vow that in Mahabharata war, he took a vow that whoever killed my son Abhimanyu, by tomorrow evening, by tomorrow sunset, I will kill him. And if I don't kill him, I'll enter into I'll kill myself, I'll enter into the fire. And the next day, everybody just protected Jayadratha, and then by the evening, Jayadratha was not captured and Arjuna was just about to enter into the fire. So at that time, many places they says, that, the Krishna hide the sun behind the clouds and then he removed the clouds. But some place it is explained that, see, Duryodhana and all these, highly qualified warriors, they cannot be fooled by just cloud. So this is not time for sunset. They can't just fool them. So actually, some place it is written that actually sunset It was on the horizon. It went down, and they said, Duryodhan, they confirmed sun is down. Now this condition is met. Now we declare, okay, sunset, and blow the conch, and war was over, and everybody was waiting. And that time Krishna said, sun rise again from the west. So Krishna can do anything. Anything means you have to understand, anything means anything. For his devotee, he can do anything. He can make the sun rise from the west. And sometimes he doesn't want to do something, he will not do it. You can't force him. So these are some of the, these simple lines, but we can understand, what are the lessons there. So in Vrindavan, let's read this line again. This was possible only because Lord Krishna and Balram, who are the controllers even of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, were residing there. So Krishna and Balram can change the season. They can make a summer feel like a spring. They can make a spring feel spring like a winter. They can do anything they want. Next slide. In Vrindavan, there are many falls which are always pouring water. Now, you have to turn this description into a picture, and then enter into that scene. And Vrindavan, there are many falls which are always pouring water. He says always pouring water. In our material world, there are certain waterfalls. They are there for a few months, then they dry. But here it is mentioned in Vrindavan, these waterfalls are constantly flowing, 12 months a day, 12 months a year. Never they are dry. Falls which are always pouring water, and sound is so sweet that it covers the sound of crickets. Now you can just close your eyes. There are so many waterfalls in Vrindavan. And then I don't know anybody with the waterfalls, Niagara. But all these waterfalls, they are not very sweet. Like, it's like giant, devastation. But this Vrindavan, in the waterfalls at Vrindavan, their sound is very sweet. It's very pleasing to the heart. So this water, there are so many waterfalls. They are pouring water, and they are just loud enough that they cover the sound of crickets. Crickets in the night time, they make some sound. I think many of us have never been in village, so we don't know what it is. So we have lost this, when you say climate is changing, it is definitely changing. So this cricket sound is very nice sound, but this waterfall sound is just loud enough that it just covers the sound of cricket. So you can't hear it. And because water flows all over, the forest always looks very green and beautiful. So some years back, I was hearing one class by one devotee. He was explaining that in Vrindavan, there is never a stray sound. Sound, like right now, can you hear the sound of this projector? This fan is there. It's a stray sound. We don't want to hear this. Or if you can hear, the aeroplane flying by. It's a stray sound. In Vrindavan, there is never a stray sound. The Vrindavan, it is the 24 hours a day, it is a great symphony. Like waterfall, there is a background music. And then there is a birds chirping. And when the birds are chirping, they are chirping in a particular symphony. Symphony orchestra. Everybody has then, when to chirp, when to play this. Everybody knows. So it's a nice harmony, symphony. Everything, it is there, kind of a, big orchestra. So even the water drops, when it falls, tup, 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 it follows a particular tune. When the birds are chirping, like like it is tweeting, like there's a tweeter. Birds does not tweet. They just tweet or sing in a way that it parts of a harmony. So waterfall, birds, even the wind that blows, the leaves are making sound. So even that is a part of a great orchestra. So here, the water and all this sound of crickets and all, it is part of a great symphony. Now this, however much you can try, you will not experience here in this world. You can go to the forest and hear some of the sounds, but it is nowhere near what is the sound of Vrindavan. One day we have to go there and experience it. Or the closest we can come is that when you go to Vrindavan right now, you can go to Vrindavan, do Govardhan Parikrama in the morning, in the afternoon, and then try to hear those sound. I think there is one devotee, Krishna Prem Prabhu, he released one CD, just the sounds of Vrindavan Mayapur. I don't know if you ever heard it, in this city, the song is, there is a cycle, ting, 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 and then rickshaw going, and I feel like, Arre, kya hai? What is this? But actually, it is, the sound of Vrindavan, that, if you just close your eyes, this is what is happening in Vrindavan. So this is the closest we can come. But in Vrindavan, every sound, it is never a stray sound. It is a part of a great orchestra. Like in England, we have these BBC proms, there's 100, 200, instruments are there. And somebody, whole orchestra, he waits for 3 hours. And at the end, ting. He has only just one, ting. But in Vrindavan also, everybody is on part. Even the bees, when bees start doing beam, 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 beam. So the bees also know how to make a sound. So the bees will not just fly anytime. He says, I'll fly in such a way that I become part of the harmony. So boom. Just trying to imitate. So in Vrindavan, everything is part of some symphony. Would you finish at 9, no? And because water flows all over, the forest always looks very green and beautiful. Now, water is everywhere, so Vrindavan is always green and beautiful. We already discussed, let's not go down deeper. And the next, this paragraph, the inhabitants of Vrindavan were never disturbed by the scorching heat of the sun or the high summer temperatures. The lakes of Vrindavan are surrounded by green grasses and various kinds of lotus flowers bloom there. So, lakes of Vrindavan are always surrounded by green grasses. So, the lakes are there. Vrindavan has got so many lakes. River Yamuna is also there, but there are so many other lakes also. They are just covered by the green grasses. And various kinds of lotus flowers bloom there, such as Kahlara, Kanja and Utpala. How many lotus flowers we know? But these are the lotus flowers, So in your life, if you have nothing to do, or if you think I am doing something which is not really any value, you should make it a point. These 3 lotus flowers. In my life, I'll find out these 3 lotus flowers. Take a picture and show it to the devotees. This is what is mentioned in Krishna book. These are the 3 lotus flowers. This looks like this. So your search, of this finding these 3 flowers will be a devotional service for you. And the air blowing in Vrindavan carries the aromatic pollen of those lotus flowers. So in Vrindavan, we just talked about the sound and vision. That how everything looks like. Everything is green, cows, everything is so nice. We talked about the sound. Now, Shukdev Goswami is talking about the smell. The air, it is aromatic with the pollen of these lotus flowers. In our house, we have room freshener, and they have certain now automatic things, it's, I don't know, so far I have not, smelled anything good, all this Airwick or whatever. They smell so horrible. They are there, just to minimize the bad smell. They don't give good smell. They minimize the bad smell. But Vrindavan, the air is always aromatic with the pollen of this lotus flower. And it is there even till today. I don't know if you have ever observed. If any time anybody brings a flower garland from Vrindavan, if somebody brings a garland in Vrindavan right now in this room, you will see the roses, they are so fragrant. It is that at one place 10 meters away, you can still smell 10 meters away how fragrant. Anybody has experienced this? Even till today, the Vrindavan flowers are so fragrant. Can you imagine in the time of Krishna, when all these, these esoteric lotus flowers, and then they are in millions in Vrindavan, not just one, there are millions in Vrindavan. Then there are other flowers, roses and champak, and they all give their own aromatic aroma in Vrindavan. So everything is so nice. Okay, now here this one. It really made me think so deep. When the particles of water from the waves of Yamuna, there's Yamuna river, and Yamuna river has waves, and those waves are so big that there's a water droplets, they are there in the atmosphere. Now we go to Vrindavan, we don't see Yamuna. Forget about the waves, it's difficult to see Yamuna. But in those days, Yamuna was so much nicely flowing, and it has the huge waves were there. And these waves were moistening the air. Just this one description, Yamuna and his waves, my God, so beautiful. When the particles of water from the waves of the Yamuna, the lakes and the waterfalls touch the bodies of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, so the air is always moist from the waterfall, from the waves of Yamuna and the lakes. So we talked about vision, sound, smell, and now the touch. That there is a natural air conditioning. It's a scorching sun is there, summer is there, but the atmosphere is exactly which gives you proper comfort. So this, and Jamuna water is so auspicious. But here it is, even in Vrindavan, you just walk anywhere and Jamuna water is sprinkled on you. So here it says, waterfall touched the bodies of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they automatically felt a cooling effect. Therefore, they were practically undisturbed by the summer season. So this air conditioning was so perfect, they don't even know that summer season is there. Such a perfect air condition. And now this paragraph looks so small, but my dear friends, when I am reading it, Prabhupada, he gives this, in this 1-2 lines, such a short, precise and exact description of Vrindavan. Prabhupada says, Vrindavan is such a nice place. Just imagine, Prabhupada's talking to you. Vrindavan is such a nice place. I think when we hear from Prabhupada's mouth, this is sufficient. No need to, hear anything else. I remember, when I was hearing one class, Radhanath Maharaj, he was describing his interaction with Prabhupada. So it was a time when Radhanath Maharaj was living in Vrindavan, and Prabhupada came in Vrindavan, and Radhanath Maharaj, he stayed some time with Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada was about to leave Vrindavan, and Maharaj and so many devotees came to see Prabhupada. And before that, the devotees asked Radhanath Maharaj that you should travel with Prabhupada. And Maharaj said, no, I want to stay in Vrindavan. I like Vrindavan. So devotees were not happy. But then Maharaj, when he was meeting Prabhupada, Jai Shri Panchatattva Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Radha Gokulan Bhagwan ki Jai. So Maharaj, when Prabhupada was leaving, he offered his obeisances, and then Prabhupada was still standing in front of him. So then Maharaj said that, Prabhupada asked Maharaj, so how long you been in Vrindavan? So Maharaj said, Prabhupada, 6 months, just about 6 months I'm here. Then Maharaj said, he just looked at me, just like an X-ray, that he likes Vrindavan. So Prabhupada, he could see that, actually he really likes Vrindavan. So then Prabhupada said, oh, Vrindavan is such a nice place. The way Maharaj said in that class, when I'm still, remembering the sound, oh, Vrindavan is such a nice place. You can see the same, just imagine, just trying to visualize that sound in your head. Prabhupada is saying, Vrindavan is such a nice place. Then Prabhupada says, flowers are always blooming. Vrindavan, flowers are always blooming. And there are even various kinds of decorated deer. And now I am not able to understand this one. The deers, Prabhupada says there are decorated deers. I don't know if anybody has any idea what is it meant by decorated deers. I'm still not able to get. Yes, Mataji?
I think I've seen Krishna with decorated cars. They're so beautiful, decorated with gold ornaments. Maybe the deers might also be.
It appears like, yes, you're right. I've seen, all Brajbasi cows, they have, horns and all. They are so nicely decorated with gold. But, even the deers are decorated. Here, we drive on the motorway, says, beware of deers. I've never hardly seen any deer, But here, is a Vrindavan says, there are decorated deers, So Vrindavan, they have, Brajbasis have so much spare time, they go and decorate deers also. So this is Vrindavan, the Vrindavan has decorated deer, Now you can just, for the rest of the month, you can just scratch your head, decorated deers, in Vrindavan. This is your devotional service, you can just be in Vrindavan conscious, just thinking about decorate. How can you decorate deers? First of all, deers are so, chanchal, they are so restless. They don't stand at one place. How can you make them stand at one place and start decorating? And how would you decorate? This is such a, not big animal like a cow. Again, you can scratch your head, but, we don't have picture, but this is what is Prabhupada mentions. And this is what Shukdev Goswami is saying. There are decorated deers in Vrindavan. Birds are chirping, peacocks are crowing and dancing, and bees are humming. So this is the, the ambience of Vrindavan. Birds are chirping, peacocks are crowing and dancing, and bees are humming. This is the ambience, sound of Vrindavan. And here, I just focused on the peacock. The peacocks are dancing. Peacock dance when they are happy. So in Vrindavan, everybody is happy. Peacocks are always happy. How many of you heard peacocks crowing? You heard? Yeah? You heard? Plenty of time.
I used to stay in Sweden, park hundreds.
I think you are very fortunate. Some of us are, I heard in my, when I was young, child, that time I heard, especially when, yes, Mataji.
I remember it very well because when they say it, it looks like they say meow.
Meow, meow.
Tell my son, they are saying meow, meow. It looks like that. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. So, if you can't do anything, about anything nice in your life, at least make it a point that someday I will hear peacock singing. Don't worry about top of the pops, what Bollywood songs are there, but says, I want to hear peacock, how nicely is, and in Vrindavan, all peacocks are devotees of Krishna. As you just said, they are, big symphony. When they sing, the peacocks crowing, it is anyway so sweet. But can you imagine, they're singing in symphony and then they're dancing. And bees are humming. The cuckoos are singing nicely in 5 kinds of tunes, my God. This is one line, it says, the cuckoos are singing in 5 kinds of tunes. Now, in Radhanath Maharaj's yatras, in the yatra, he would take us to Vrindavan, and during the class, he will describe this and then ask us to imitate. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you to imitate. But, like Mother says, meow, the cuckoo, coo, coo. Now, this is only I've heard, this is what, my dull mind has recorded this sound. But here, Shruvdev Goswami is saying they are singing in 5 kinds of tunes. Okay, so again, this is one mission for you if you want to take. I want to study cuckoos, and what kind of 5 tunes they are singing in. So, if you do this, and record it, and someday in the class you put this record on and tell devotees, this is how 5 kinds of tunes are there, the cuckoos singing. So this is not, we've lost, we have not lost it, but we do not have information. So you can see, this is just a description, but we can realize how much we do not know. The description is there, but we do not know. So this just 2 lines of Prabhupada, description of Vrindavan. This is like, for me, it is like a shloka of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is such a nice place. Flowers are always blooming. And there are even various kinds of decorated deer. Birds are chirping, peacocks are crowing and dancing, and bees are humming. The cuckoos are singing nicely in 5 kinds of tunes. This is like a shloka, Vrindavan shloka. We just here, remember this. You can just remember Vrindavan all the time. So, shall we stop here or continue? Or, we talked about sound, vision, smell, touch. The next is taste. So taste is not given here. But after some time there will be prasadam in the temple here. So you can, taste that way. Happy to hear? It's not boring, Manchester is better than Vrindavan. Yeah, we go to Disney and see Mickey Mouse, See, Prabhuji,
Vision is better than that.
yeah. No, so that, that same, everybody has this attraction towards Vrindavan, but when it is, we have to apply this attraction anywhere in some form or the other. So rather than, in Vrindavan, they decorated Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and, and then those rides, So it is same thing is there, but in a perverted form. You cannot take this out because this is our heart's natural longing. Okay, this is one paragraph. Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, blowing his flute, accompanied by his elder brother Balram and the other cowherd boys and the cows, entered the beautiful forest of Vrindavan to enjoy the atmosphere. Again, we can talk on each line, but we'll keep it for the timing. They walked into the midst of newly grown leaves of trees whose flowers resembled peacock feathers. This is one line. They walked into the midst of the newly grown leaves of trees whose flowers resembled peacock feathers. So there are trees whose newly grown leaves, and whose flowers are like peacock feather. Can you imagine? Can you visualize this thing? But it is there in Vrindavan. They were garlanded by those flowers and decorated with saffron chalk. This was Krishna's description is there now. That Krishna is garlanded by these forest flowers and decorated with saffron chalk. Sometimes they were dancing and singing, and sometimes wrestling with one another. Oh, Jai Ho. This Krishna's friends, they are dancing and singing with Krishna. And sometimes they are wrestling. Even wrestling is the exchange of love. While Krishna danced, some of the cowherd boys sang and others played on flutes. Can you just visualize? When Krishna danced, some of the cowherd boys sang and others played on flutes. Can you imagine? Krishna is just dancing. Everybody is surrounding him. And they are playing flute. Krishna is, I don't know what steps he is dancing. But he's dancing and everybody is surrounding him. And this is happening in the atmosphere, what we just discussed before. Air condition, sound, vision, and then now Krishna is dancing in that. Some bugled on buffalo horns or clapped their hands and praising Krishna. Dear brother, you are dancing very nicely. So they are motivating Krishna, good. You are dancing very nicely. Yay, hold good. Yes. Still appreciating, yes. Then Prabhupada writes, actually, all these boys were demigods descended from higher planets to assist Krishna in his pastimes. The demigods, garbed in the dress of cowherd boys, were encouraging Krishna in his dancing, just as one artist encourages another with praise. Up to that time, neither Balram nor Krishna had undergone the hair cutting ceremony. Therefore, their hair was clustered like crow's feathers. They were always playing hide and seek with their boyfriends, or jumping or fighting with them. Sometimes, while his friends were chanting and dancing, Krishna would praise them. My dear friends, you are dancing and singing very nicely. Can you imagine that? Whenever the time comes, we are in Vrindavan and we are also dancing, and Krishna comes and says, oh, you are dancing very nicely. What a great, that moment will be there, when Krishna is pleased with our dancing. Actually, this can happen right now, while we are on earth. So it is said, in the Lord Chaitanya's movement, what do? We do chant, dance and feast. So when we are chanting, we should chant for the pleasure of Krishna. And we dance, we should dance for the pleasure of Krishna. So when we have a kirtan in a temple, we should dance. Today Vrajendra Prabhu was, asking you dance, And I was saying, Prabhuji, I just kept driving, and don't feel like dancing. But that should be the mood of a devotee when we come to the temple, that Krishna is there and let me dance. So with my dancing he is pleased. And then Krishna, will notice, oh, today, that day Mangala Arati, you were dancing very nicely. So we should always dance for the pleasure of Krishna. It is said, if sometimes if our body does not allow to dance, it said you should dance in your heart. but one should dance always. So whenever we come to in front of Krishna, we should dance. Just the other day we were discussing, that the devotional life is so full of variety. The singing, there are so many ragas are there, and then the dancing is also one of the, the offering of Krishna, especially in South India. I think now I don't know if the tradition is still there, but he said, they were Devdasis. Their only job was that when the Lord gives darshan, they would dance in front of them. That was their only job in the whole life. And they'll perfect their art in such a way, while they're not dancing in front of the Lord, they will practice. So when the Lord is there, then the dance is perfect. Even the singing, it is said, whenever the Lord gives when the curtain opens, whoever is there in front of the Lord, they should sing for the Lord. This is the way to welcome the Lord. And in our temples, when the Arati is happening, we should dance also. So this is for the pleasure of the Lord. The boys played at catching ball with fruits such as bell and amalaka. So they were also playing ball games, but not like our rubber balls. They were organic balls. They played blind man's bluff. So this is bona fide game. Hare Krishna. Radha Kulanand ki jai, Panchatattva Bhagwan ki jai. Challenging and touching one another. Sometimes they imitated the forest deer and various kinds of birds. They joked with one another by imitating croaking frogs. Not here today, but sometimes we are, like sometimes, when we are all alone, we like to do something crazy, So when you're all alone, nobody is hearing, try to imitate frog, Wrong, 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 wrong. The Brajbasis were doing every day with Krishna. And they enjoyed swinging underneath the trees, my God. Swinging underneath the trees. Now this swinging, it's a very natural for every living entity. Raise your hands, that whenever you went to your playground for the children, and some of you did a swing which are meant for the children. We all have done it. The swinging is very natural. But Krishna, do you have a picture here? I think we used to have a picture, Krishna swinging, on the tree, and then, in fact, I think that some part of our year, that festival is celebrating swing pastime. We call it Hindula, Julan. So we put Krishna on the swing, and then Krishna is offered. Then there is another pastime, boat pastimes. Krishna is put on the boat, and a boat goes, so boating. Sometimes they would play amongst themselves like a king and his subjects. In this way, Balram and Krishna, along with all their friends, played all kinds of sports and enjoyed the soothing atmosphere of Vrindavan, full of rivers, lakes, rivulets, fine trees, and excellent gardens filled with fruits and flowers. Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. So this is Vrindavan is, and this is what Krishna is enjoying with his devotees. This is our house, my house, your house, everybody's. This is our house. This is what our house is. Our right to go there. But we are, somehow we made a bad choice, came to this world, and we are attracted by 3-bedroom detached house, and my Mercedes or whatever BMW cars. And I'm sorry if any Mercedes car. I have Volkswagen. I'm attached to my Volkswagen car. I'm attached to my bank balance. And my my prestige in the society. We are stuck here. But this is what is waiting for us. We rejected this. This is war. And and Prabhupada and all our acharyas and devotees have come back into our life and saying, my dear friends, this is what you are missing out. Chant the name of Krishna, serve Krishna, please Krishna's devotees. And Krishna, in the just the beginning of class, we sing one prayer. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagatpate. Krishna is Karuna Sindhu. He is ready to take us. He is so merciful. He says, please come. Krishna wants his devotees to be with him in Vrindavan. Please come. But we are, so dull-headed. We have so many excuses not to go there. So I want to finish this discussion on the good note that this is waiting for us. Let's, follow Prabhupada's instructions of chanting 16 rounds, follow executive principles, and serving devotees and serving the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That let's give this one life to Krishna. As Prabhupada said, Vishnudhidhar Mahaprabhu many times repeated, give this one life to Krishna. Whatever hours, whatever years, whatever life they have left over, give everything to Krishna. And then this is our, I won't say this is our prize, actually this is our natural, house to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, Mataji.
I don't know whether I read this right or not, but do correct me if I'm wrong. Somewhere I read that after this Karya was subdued by Krishna, then when he mentioned they were all very anxious, everything that he should be alright, when he came back, I think gopis did ask him to show a glimpse of the original Vrindavan after this, and he showed it to them. Is there something like that too?
I'm not aware, Mataji. It might be written somewhere, Mataji, but not in the pages of Krishna book. It might be some other places, might be there. There is another, after subduing Kaliya, it is not there in Krishna book, but in Vrindavan there is one place called Dwadash Aditya Tila. That Krishna, he was there in water for some time, he was feeling cold. So 12 suns came out, not one, 12 suns came out, to give little heat to Krishna. But it is not there in Krishna book or Bhagavatam. But this place is called Dwadash Aditya Tila. It's just behind the Radha Madan Mohan temple, one corner, so Dwadash Aditya. So as I said, Krishna, he can make sunrise from west, he can make 12 sun also come, So Mataji, what you heard, maybe it is there, maybe some other Purana description is there. Yes, Prabhuji.
On that note, actually, if I remember well, after one pastime, probably it was, Krishna saved Nanda Maharaj from the clutches of Varundev. I think after that pastime, if I remember well, maybe another pastime, but all the coward boys, actually, not gopis, it is there in the 10th canto. They asked Krishna to show the Golok Vrindavan. He said that Krishna showed them. Yeah. But I think it is after that pastime, I'm not very sure. But yes, it is mentioned in the 10th canto.
After that, Maharaj is saved from Varun.
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure. But is that? Yeah. Okay, thanks. But definitely Krishna showed for all the gopas the Golok Vrindavan. Yeah. But our pleasure is to read and enjoy. It's the same thing. If you see that, or if you just read and enjoy, it's the same benefit, basically. Yeah. Yeah, carry.
What is the difference? Krishna was present in Vrindavan, he said, and when Krishna showed the Golok Vrindavan. So what was the difference?
Yeah, I don't know, probably last.
Ask you. To be honest, Prabhuji, I really don't know the answer to these questions. It will be just my, my humble opinion. What we've been told is that Golok Vrindavan and Bhoma Vrindavan is what Krishna brings along with him, when he comes to this material world. So Prabhupada gives the example of, when a president travels, he goes, with this aeroplane and, all his entourage. But it is not the full, how he lives. For example, say President of America, his White House and everything. So when he comes to UK, he comes with his, these armored cars and everything. So everything is American. Everything you can see, there's a mini America is traveling with him. But it is still not the full America, his full glory. So what we see Vrindavan, Bhoma Vrindavan, it is there, it is not different than the Golok Vrindavan. But the full glory, you have to go there and see there. Like here, it says, Chorasi Kos Parikrama. He says, Vrindavan is in boundary of this, Now Vrindavan is never has a border. In Golok Vrindavan there is no border. But here we have a border. So what we are seeing is just, the little, it's not replica, it is glimpse, like Krishna is brought along with it. The real glory, the real might or real beauty of Vrindavan, even this is, we can't digest. Can you imagine, the real Golok Vrindavan, it'll blow our mind. We won't be able to digest. There's this in cuckoos, 5 kinds of tunes of cuckoos, we cannot digest fully. So it is just a little glimpse, but then it's good enough for us to get attracted towards the Golok Vrindavan. Yes, Prabhuji. Is that okay, Prabhuji? Is it okay? Yeah. Sorry, Prabhu?
It's a question of what Krishna will give us.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
said that, when we go to Vrindavan, according to our belief,
You're true.
the more advanced one is, the more splendor one can see. He has to be given back up.
Depending on on that note, I heard that Swami actually showed Vrindavan to Akbar, I think, is that right?
Yeah, I think Akbar.
Yeah, all the jewels and all that could be seen by Akbar, I think. Was it Akbar?
That's what I also heard, yeah.
What has he written? Bless.
Yeah, I think the story was that, Akbar wanted to say, I want to donate to, Vrindavan. So, I don't know, Jiva Goswami, I think it's different versions are there, but the devotee said, do you think you have enough wealth to renovate Vrindavan? So, yeah, tell me where, so he took it one place, and then he showed, so it's like, I'm going to talk about Hollywood special effects, like, little hole opens, and there is one, he sees one brick, gold brick. Says, this brick is little scratched, little, what he says, little indent, little notch is broken. Can you just replace it? So the Akbar says, even if I use my entire kingdom's wealth, I cannot, repair this one crack of this brick. So he says, sorry, I cannot repair, So then, that vision was covered again and he went back. Yes, Prabhuji.
In the reading there was, it said Krishna and Balarama controlled demigods like the Brahma and Shiva and So I know Balarama was his brother, but was he as powerful as Krishna as well?
Balram.
He's more powerful than Krishna.
He's a supreme personality. Supreme personality of
Wow. Wow, what a question, Prabhupada, in these books of Krishna book only, he explains that Krishna and Balram, there is no difference. The both are equally powerful. Only difference is that Krishna is blackish in complexion and like a monsoon cloud, and Balram is white complexion, just like a spring cloud or autumn cloud, white cloud. Otherwise, in potency wise, there is no difference. Krishna and Balram are equal. There is no difference in their power. They are both Supreme Personality of Godhead.
All incarnations.
Huh?
All incarnations.
All incarnations. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Balram is also Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is no difference. And Prabhupada says, but still there is a difference. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the God. Balram is the servant God. And Balram wants to serve Krishna. Balram is as powerful as Krishna. There is nothing that is lacking in Balram's power, what Krishna has. But Balram's mood is to serve Krishna. And Krishna is the God, he accepts the service from Balram. It's a big, Krishna Tattva and Balram Tattva. And Balram again, he is a Guru Tattva, as a part of his service. He says, Balram, because his mood is to serve Krishna, so Balram expands into whatever Krishna needs. So Balram expands into the spiritual world. Balram, he expands into, Krishna's various garments and, ornaments, his shoes, his bed. Whatever Krishna requires, Balram expands into that one. And then he, so Balram's desire is to please Krishna. And for that, whatever is required, Balram does that. So he's a servitor, he's a servant God. And the Krishna is the accepting all those services. This is just one point on, sorry Prabhu. That's a perfect devotee. And Balram is also Guru Tattva. One of the things which attracts us, in this material body is, his potency of being a Guru Tattva. Why Guru Tattva? Because Krishna, he is not happy that we all have rejected Krishna and come back here. We are here. Krishna is waiting for us, that please, this devotee should come back to me. So Krishna wants us to go back there. So Balram, he knows that Krishna wants his devotees back. So Balram, then in his capacity as Guru, he comes here. So Prabhupada, all our Parampara Acharya, they are representative of Balram. That, you please, rectify yourself, purify yourself and go back Krishna. Krishna is waiting for you. So again, Balram, there's a service to Krishna. He comes as a Guru to reclaim us and take us back to Godhead. So good, you're asking this question because this is where, we understand the difference between Krishna and Balram. The more we understand these various tattvas, the more we become spiritually strong, and then we help other devotees also and finally go back home. It's okay, Prabhu? Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please forgive me, but if you're correcting me to see it correctly, understand. But everything starts from Krishna. And the cowherd boys and the gopis, they are expansions of Krishna. What about Balarama? It's also like an expansion.
Yeah, he's the first immediate expansion of Krishna. When Krishna is there himself, his first immediate expansion is Balram. Then from Balram, if you look at the whole, from Balram, there are 4 other expansions, Anirudh, Pradyumna, Vasudev, and Sankarshan. And then from that Sankarshan comes Narayan. Then from Narayan comes another 4 expansion, Anirudh, Pradyumna, Vasudev, and Sankarshan. And then from that Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu. Then from Mahavishnu lies in this Kojal ocean, and from his bodies all the universes come out. And then the Mahavishnu expands into the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into each universe. And then from his navel, the Brahma is born. And then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu then expands into Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. He enters into each and every atom in this world. And he enters into our heart as a companion, our own companion. So if you see, actually we are never alone. Krishna is always with us. But answer to your questions, I gave maybe over answered it. The immediate expansion is Balaram. So Krishna, the immediate is Balaram. Vishnu is quite few level down. Then the Vishnu comes.
Yeah.
Very interesting that you know this. So strange.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, Mother.
Yes, you have one more question? Yes, go on.
Just one. Where can you read about Balram as Guru Tattva or this? Because I find that I really like what you said today, because somewhere else I read or I was told that even the Kartal and the Mridanga, they're also representations of Balram. So how to put all this together? Is there anywhere?
Mataji, I don't know exact reference, but I think on the pages of Krishna book and Bhagavatam, you will see whenever that topics of Balram comes, that is explained there. I don't know if anybody knows any reference, direct reference where it is mentioned. Yeah, I think wherever the topic of Balram comes, Prabhupada just gives the information about who exactly Balram is. Yeah. Okay.
What our acharyas have explained.
Yes. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sorry, Prabhupada, it took some long time. Hare Prabhu.
So Hare Krishna everyone. So thank you so much for being with us today. Every first and third Saturdays there will be Mangala starting from 5 o'clock, and full program will be there. So including Bhagavatam as well as Prasadam. So please do take advantage of this program and encourage others to participate. So first and third Saturdays of the month. I would like to request at least 2 volunteers to serve Prasadam today. I'll need one or two. And I request let's have Prasadam over there so that we just keep this room as it is. No need to clean it up after that. If that is okay, I think we are not many today, so we just sit there and take Prasadam. So everybody knows, I guess we have announced several times, our major festival is next major festival is Gaura Purnima, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day, which is falling on the Friday, 18th March. Not too far from now, I guess, 2 weeks less, something like that. And we are having this big festival at Gita Bhavan. So we are having an independent program of their program in the Prasadam Hall. So that's our major festival, and our Rajendra Prabhu has yes, no, so he has volunteered to completely sponsor the entire festival of Gaura Purnima. Haribol.
Haribol.
So please chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra to shower blessings on him and his family.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much, Guru. And we have our usual Sunday program tomorrow. Will be here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. You want to sing Prasadam? Take care. Yeah, you can sing. Yeah, sing Prasadam.
Mahaprasade Govinde.
Mahaprasade Govinde,
Namo Brahmane Vaishnave.
Namo Brahmani Vaishnave, Salpa Punyam Vratam Rajan, Vishwaso Nevrajayate, Sharirar Vidyajal, Jadendriya Tahekal, जीवे फेले विषय सागरे तार मध्ये जीवाति लोभ माय सुदुर्मति ताके जेता कठिन संसारे कृष्णा बड़ा दयामय करी बारे जीव जाय सप्रसादन दिलो भाई शयनामृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमे राखो श्री चैतन्य निताय जय निमाय जय निताय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय
Initially when I read, I just read, but when you